Welcome my friends, here we are again on the next video. This one I'm just working down the list of those false truths that I did in one of those other videos, and this one's all around fruit. It's bad for you, it's so high in sugar, yes, it's going to cause you cancer, it's going to do all sorts of things, you know, it's going to feed all the bacteria in your body, it's going to, you know, it's going to spike your blood sugar, all those sorts of false lies, I believe are lies. Okay, so we're going to go through that and I'm going to explain it, and hopefully this resonates with you, because at the end of the day I want you to eat fruit. I mean, fruit is such a fantastic food, and it gives you energy, it makes you feel good, it gives you biophotons from the sun, and it is a fantastic fuel. Okay, so here we go. There's different types of sugars, as you know. There's all different types of sugars. You got your glucose, your maltose, your dextrose, you know, and you got your fructose from sugar, okay? You got all different types of sugars, and they come from all different sources in plants and in roots and in grains. Mozzie's flying around, and in fruits, okay? So, what is the difference between fructose and other sugars found in other foods? Fructose is a single cell sugar. It's a very, very easy to digest sugar, and it is a very simple sugar. It's not very complex in the way that it's made up, in all little strands and all the way that it's actually made up atomically, okay? So if we look at a fruit sugar under a microscope, is a very, very simple sugar, okay? Now the way that it acts in the body is different to every other sugar, because every other sugar out there known to man requires insulin as a carrier to take it to the cell. So when our cells need fuel, when they need sugar, and we need sugar in our cells because that's what our sugars do burn for fuel. That's how we make ATP, that's how we make energy, okay? So when those cells need sugar, they cry out for sugar, and the sugar becomes in, you know, it might give you some cravings to eat something and something like that because you're low in sugar. We bring the sugar in through our food, through our gut wall, that comes into the system, and as soon as our blood sugar starts to raise up, we have, in normal circumstances, normal sucrose sugars, we have insulin come in, and the insulin acts as a carrier. It actually takes that sugar to the cell. Now once our cells and our glucose stores are all full, because we can only actually store about 2,000 calories of glucose stores in our muscle, in our tissue, in our body. Once that's full, insulin does another job. It says, okay, our insulin stores are full, our sugar stores are full, and now we're going to store the rest as fat. So no matter what source that sugar was, except for fructose, all the other sources all get stored as fat once your glycogen stores are full. Fructose is completely different from fruit. It's completely different altogether. So what happens there is, as the fructose comes into the system, it can only be converted to use as energy by the liver. It goes directly to the liver. The liver then does a little trick with it and makes that energy bioavailable to every cell in the body from there, without any insulin response whatsoever. The fructose molecule is very, very electrically matched to the cell, so it requires no carrier. It can just go straight up, knock on the door, and the cell lets it straight in. And so we can very easily access and use that fructose as energy. Alright, does that make sense? So when you're talking about, say, diabetes, diabetics and all that sort of stuff, and quite often doctors will say, you know, don't eat too much fruit, it's too high in sugar, and yet in the same breath they'll be telling that person to eat bread, to eat like a wholemeal bread and stuff like that, and have salad sandwiches with meat on it and everything else, which is another topic. We'll get down that road, but you know, it's just absolutely ludicrous. Bread on the glycemic scale is absolutely high. It's so high, it's huge, you know, whereas fruit, it's fantastic. It's just purely energy for your body, and we can utilize it so damn easily, and that's what I love about it. Not only that, it's got some great minerals, it alkalizes your body and does all that. Where fruit can become a problem though, is if we actually eat it after other foods. So guys, this is a warning, eat your fruits on their own, eat them on an empty stomach, and that's really important. And I'll tell you why. Fruit only lasts in the stomach, inside the gut, for around 10 to 15 to 20 minutes maximum. That's all it stays in there for. Because it's so high in water content, it's so high in natural enzymes, and it's an alkalizing food, so we don't have to make acids. We don't need much to break it down. Also, it's quite soft, so we break it up in our mouth quite easily. our saliva mixes with it, and it doesn't need to spend much time in the stomach at all. So when it gets there, it just goes through a couple little processes and then it pretty much gets pushed straight out. So you can imagine this. If you had a big heavy meal, you've had some meats, you've had some chicken or whatever it is, you've had some eggs, or you've had a bread or salad sandwich or something like that. Now those things require a much bigger process to digest in the gut, so they're going to take a lot longer. So they sit there in the gut, and when that sits there and you eat the fruit and it comes in on top, the fruit can't get out, it can't escape down through the sphincter into the smaller intestine, so it can't get out. So what it does is sits there and it ferments. When it ferments behind the other foods, then those sugars, then they become dangerous to us. That's what the doctors are talking about. That's where the problems are. But that's because people have eaten fruit the wrong way, okay? So when you get that fermentation, not only does the fermentation stop the digestion of the other foods, but it causes gases and bloating and you know, irritable gut and the whole thing like that. So what happens if you eat it on its own, you don't have any of those issues. The other thing, when you do eat it after other foods, you get with the fermentation, you get bacterial overgrowth of the wrong types of bacteria in our body. So yeast and fungal bacteria and things like that can actually really proliferate when you have a lot of that fermentation in your system. And that again throws all your sugars out and creates a lot of problems. So that, I guess, is where the whole poo-pooing fruit comes from, and the high sugars in fruit, I guess that's where it comes from. And it doesn't matter whether you're eating the fruit whole or even if you juice the fruit, it cannot hurt you if you have it on an empty stomach and eat it that way, and you'll have a great time with it, and you'll experience what energy you can get from fruit. So I hope that video helped. If you guys do enjoy these videos, keep the comments coming, subscribe and things like that. I thrive from enthusiasm from others. I thrive from, you know, inspiring others. So when I hear those sort of things where people go, yay, we can eat fruit, you know, that just makes me feel good, and that makes me get out and create more of these videos. So I hope you enjoyed. I'll tune out now, and I'll go to the next video and talk one of the next false truths that we had on our list. See you guys.